Could Cody Rhodes' brother Dustin be at WrestleMania to witness the American Nightmare, challenging Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship in the main event? A positive health update on Jerry the King Lawler after suffering an apparent stroke over the weekend. Toxic Attraction split on this week's edition of NXT. Ilia Draganov makes his return to the developmental brand. Meito Satomura will be returning next week on NXT. We've got the ratings for this week's edition of Monday Night Raw. An interesting stipulation put into Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows' WWE contract. Cody Rhodes would be open to presenting the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic trophy to whoever wins the tournament. SummerSlam is heading for Detroit this year, and also an update on Ivy Now's appearance in Reality of Wrestling. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling, specifically WWE. Let's start off talking about Dustin Rhodes possibly reuniting with his brother at WrestleMania this year. Of course, Dustin Rhodes is under contract to AEW, so would this even be possible? Well, the question is, could AEW's Dustin Rhodes join his younger brother at WrestleMania 39 for the main event, Cody Rhodes facing, obviously, Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship? Well, Cody himself certainly hasn't ruled it out, but does recognise certain people would have to agree to it. Speaking with Alex McCarthy for Inside the Ropes on the possibility of Dustin being there to see Cody potentially dethrone Roman Reigns, Cody said, quote, "Dustin and I have a very unique relationship, very unique. It's almost like we're at our optimum, at our peak as brothers when we're together in the ring. I think we've both settled on the idea that we never want to tag team with each other again because as much fun as we had, we were at each other's throats. We're at a point where I love my brother so much, and as I get closer to this, I think about him every day. I really do, and that would be special. It would. It would take some people getting along to agree, but that also is very cart before the horse because currently what stands in front of me, and I mean there's no hyperbole in what I say, is Roman Reigns. That's currently what stands in front of me. As he refers to himself of God tier, buddy, this guy is the best of the best in terms of strength, in terms of conditioning. I mean, 800 something days can't be argued. If you're making a list and he isn't the number one, your list ain't real. Can't be argued, and I'm not thinking about any type of victory lap or celebration other than I'm thinking about making sure I don't get hit square in the mouth with a Superman punch." Dustin himself did briefly comment on the amazing Cody Rhodes Paul Heyman segment on this week's edition of Raw, in which Heyman did say that Cody Rhodes was Dusty Rhodes' favourite son. However, Roman Reigns was the son that Dusty wished he had had. But what Dustin said on Twitter was, quote, "I love you, brother," at Cody Rhodes, hashtag finish the story, hashtag kick Paul in the balls. Dustin, of course, is still with All Elite Wrestling, but has recently said 2023 will be his final year as an active wrestler. It is believed that his AEW contract expires in July. Whether or not he will be at WrestleMania to support his brother, likely he could be backstage. Whether he appears on camera, that's a bit less likely. Speaking of AEW talent, though, appearing backstage, one of the things or images to take social media by storm in the fallout of the Royal Rumble was AEW star Ricky Starks visiting Cody Rhodes during the Royal Rumble. Now, during the January 28th show, Cody Rhodes made his in-ring return in the men's Royal Rumble match. Of course, Rhodes ultimately won the bout, last eliminating Gunther to earn a shot at Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship at WrestleMania 39. Following Rhodes' victory, security footage revealed that rising AEW star Ricky Starks was backstage at the event to support Rhodes. Speaking with Alex McCarthy in the same interview for Inside the Ropes, Rhodes noted that he may not invite friends from other places to visit him at WWE shows anymore, as he doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. Addressing the situation, Rhodes said, quote, "Yeah, what an idiot though, right? Listen, it's one of those things where the locker rooms have crossover, people are married to other people from other locker rooms, people have friends. This is a kid who I started on his journey at my former home, and obviously I want to follow and see his journey. But I will say it's probably best that none of my friends come and visit me at the shows anymore. We don't need security cam footage of that. Poor Ricky Starks. I hope he didn't get in any trouble. I don't think he did. He was there to support a friend who had been absolutely down and out with a torn pectoral muscle injury. Ricky was one of those guys who nursed me through it to a degree and helped remind me of who I can be. So I was happy to have him, and I had some other friends there. The other friends stayed on the bus because they're not crazy yahoos. I don't want to cause any strife between any places. We all love the same thing. It's the squared circle. It's the wrestling industry, and I've got to remember, I always think I don't have any rules. There are rules. And again, whilst I think social media tried to make it into a thing, I doubt it would have been a big deal for those in AEW. It might have been had it been the other way around, but it's really not a big deal whatsoever. Now, a positive update when it comes to Jerry the King Lawler. There were a lot of concerns after news reported yesterday that he had suffered this medical emergency and was in hospital. There was some scarce details when we spoke about it at the time, but more details have come to light now, and there is positive news, although the situation is still very serious. Now, this comes from Commercial Appeal, which is based in Memphis, Tennessee, of course, the home of Jerry the King Lawler, a Memphis icon. They are reporting that Jerry the King Lawler, WWE Hall of Famer, of course, Memphis resident, was admitted to a Florida hospital Monday after suffering a stroke, according to former WMC TV chief meteorologist Dave Brown, who was a longtime friend of Lawler's. The legendary professional wrestler is recovering from a stroke in a Fort Myers hospital, Brown told the Commercial Appeal. Lawler left for Florida last week to attend the old-time comic shows Heroes Meet HorrorCon, on February 4th in Punta Gorda, and planned to spend the rest of the week at the condo he owns in Fort Myers, according to Brown. Brown said he spoke to Lawler, age 73, via FaceTime early Tuesday afternoon and was very encouraged, saying, quote, "Some of the initial reports were just horrible, so I feel much better than I did 18 hours ago when I felt like I got hit in the face with a shovel," he said. "I was incredibly encouraged after I did a FaceTime. Jerry was alert. He talked to me. He could only say a couple of words at a time, which is pretty normal, but was able to move both legs and both arms. I feel very optimistic that he's eventually going to recover." Now, Brown became friends with Lawler when he served as an announcer alongside Lance Russell for the long-running Saturday morning Classic Memphis Wrestling program. Lawler is more than a decade removed from suffering a cardiac arrest live on television while serving as a commentator during an episode of Monday Night Raw. Lawler, as I mentioned, was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2006, I believe it was. It might have been 2007, actually. Lawler was formally inducted into the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame in October 2022. He's had recent appearances for WWE. He was among the panelists for the Royal Rumble kickoff show just a couple of weeks ago. And again, it's certainly positive news that he's awake, he's alert, he can speak some words, not a lot, he can move all of his extremities. Brian Alvarez posted also an update on Wrestling Observer Live during one of their episodes, and he said that Lawler was actually found outside of his home face down in the parking lot. A person who is close to Lawler said it was a blood blockage to the right side of his brain. He is awake, he can talk. There was reports from Alvarez that he couldn't talk and he had no feeling on the right side of his body, but according to those close to him, that's not completely accurate because he can move all extremities. John Albert also provided an update saying that, quote, "have had a few individuals with knowledge of the situation tell me Jerry Lawler needs a lot of positive thoughts right now. I'm told the ramifications of his situation are significant at this moment in time, sending him and his family all of the best." Dutch Mantel also posted an update on his Twitter account saying, "Latest update on Lawler. Lawler experienced paralysis on the right side immediately following the stroke. Latest news has reported that he has regained partial use of his arm. His speech is still affected, but that takes a bit more time, but he is improving," which lines up with the other reports that are put out there. Dave Meltzer also said, quote, "It looked really bad 2 or 3 hours ago. More recent news is better, but it's a very serious situation." So those that have been thinking and sending their prayers and thoughts to Jerry Lawler and his family and his fans continue to do so, but there is positive updates regarding his health, and here's hoping the King once again can kick out of a serious situation. Steering back to the wrestling scene right now, and last night, Toxic Attraction, they are no more. There was an episode of Ding Dong Hello with Bayley. She returned to NXT to host an explosive edition of Ding Dong Hello with Toxic Attraction. As the ladies sat down to discuss what happened with their partnership on Saturday at Vengeance Day, they got a little spicy discussing the past. Although, as they pivoted to discuss the future, the duo pledged to reunite for one more run at the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, or maybe even the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships from Damage Control. While Bayley dissuaded the duo from that idea, she did encourage them to continue their reconciliation and to hug it out. However, after the hug and standing tall in solidarity, Toxic Attraction completely exploded. Jacy Jane hit Gigi Dolan with a furious super kick before throwing her into the Ding Dong Hello set door as Gigi sobbed at the betrayal. As Bayley looked on shocked, there was a toxic explosion, said Vic Joseph on commentary as the show ended for the week, which is quite interesting considering there were talks of bringing them up as a tag team to the main roster. Seemingly that's not going to be the case now. They're going to stay on NXT as singles talent and feud with each other as we head into WrestleMania season. Speaking of returns, Ilia Draganov is back on NXT television. Carmelo Hayes kicked off the show with a fiery promo before being interrupted by a potential roadblock on his journey toward Bron Breakker's NXT Championship. JD McDonough interrupted Carmelo Hayes and challenged him to a match later on in the night. However, during the final moments of the match, both men were distracted by a big entrance music playing with a shocking return. Ilia Draganov was back, while Hayes was able to capitalize and get the roll-up pinfall victory over JD McDonough. He then had a momentary face-off with a returning Draganov, although in the end it was clear that Ilia Draganov only had eyes for JD McDonough as he passed by Hayes and attacked McDonough. It's not the only return, though, of course, because next week it has been announced that Meiko Satomura will be making her return to NXT 2, teaming up with current NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. Former NXT UK Women's Champion Meiko Satomura is making her WWE return on the February 14 Valentine's Day edition of NXT. NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez announced on the February 7 episode, that being last night, that Satomura was going to be her tag team partner. It's interesting to note that the last time Satomura was on NXT was on September 6, 2022, when she defeated Perez. Quote, "Yeah, I actually just got off the phone with her right now. Next week, Kaden and Katana will be facing the team of myself and Meiko Satomura. See you guys next week," said Perez. Perez and Satomura will be facing former NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Carter and Chance lost their titles last Saturday at NXT Vengeance Day to Fallon Henry and Kiana James. Unlike Carter and Chance, Perez successfully retained her title at Vengeance Day against Toxic Attraction's Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Perez has been the NXT Women's Champion since December 2022. Satomura, meanwhile, made her WWE debut back in 2018 during the second Mae Young Classic tournament, where she was defeated in the semi-finals by now AEW star Toni Storm. Satomura held the NXT UK Women's Championship from June 2021 until September 2022, when former WWE star Mandy Rhodes defeated her and unified the NXT and NXT UK Women's titles at NXT World Collide. But it'll be interesting to see Satomura back next week. Is this a long-term thing? Is this what she's going to be doing now going forward, making these sort of one-off occasional appearances on the developmental brand? We'll have to wait and see. What about the ratings for this week's edition of Raw? Certainly a newsworthy and noteworthy Raw. Cody Rhodes facing off with Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar facing off with Bobby Lashley, Elimination Chamber ramifications for the US title chamber match, for the Women's Chamber match, Lita making a return as well. But Raw could not pull off a hat-trick of shows with an average viewership of over 2 million viewers, as the February 6 episode garnered 1.866 million viewers, according to WrestleNomics. The Red Brand show viewership numbers had surged, of course, to 2.344 million viewers for the Raw is 30 special episode on January 23, and 2.114 million viewers for the post-Royal Rumble episode on January 30. As such, this week's show saw a drop of nearly 12% from last week's show, which I guess is to kind of be expected. While the first hour started off strong at 1.968 million viewers, the second hour dropped to 1.881 million viewers, and the final hour drew 1.750 million viewers. The Becky Lynch vs. Bayley steel cage match main evented the show in the third hour. Despite the drop, though, in overall viewership, WWE's flagship show on the USA Network continued its streak of topping the cable top 150 charts, finishing the night at pole position ahead of two college basketball games on ESPN, Below Deck on Bravo TV, and Tucker Carlson Tonight on Fox News. According to Showbuzz Daily, Raw topped the cable 150 charts with a 0.55 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographic, which is down though from last week's 0.64 rating in the same key demo. As I mentioned, it was a very newsworthy show, and I think despite the drop-off, which would be expected, WWE will still be very, very happy with that overall viewership number and the key demographic rating, certainly. The OC, of course, Gallows and Anderson weren't at the Royal Rumble, as AJ Styles was not, currently nursing a broken ankle. But an interesting contract stipulation for the team has been revealed. Of course, since Triple H took over all main roster creative and talent relations, WWE has seen an influx of talent returning to the promotion. From Bray Wyatt to Karrion Kross to Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, the large amount of talent that has returned has allowed the company to flesh out the rosters of both Raw and SmackDown, in addition, I suppose, to NXT 2. In October 2021, 2022, Carl Anton and Luke Gallows returned to WWE and reunited with AJ Styles in the OC. Another returning star, Michin Mia Yim, also later joined the group. As previously reported, Anderson and Gallows signed longer-term contracts than other performers who had re-signed with the promotion, and a special stipulation to their contracts was also revealed. Hosting the latest edition of The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp revealed that the OC negotiated a special clause to their contracts that allows their schedule to be more flexible. He said, quote, "People were asking why the Good Brothers were not at the Royal Rumble or Raw. In their new deals, they said, if you're not going to use us, we don't want to be there." Ganderson? What a merge that name is. Anderson and Gallows last appeared on WWE TV on the January 23 Raw 30th anniversary special in backstage poker segments with the legends on the show. The duo haven't been used as often, or certainly quite as often, since AJ Styles went down with a broken ankle. It is expected, though, they will return once AJ Styles returns. But as of right now, there are no plans creatively, so they're not at any of the shows. We spoke earlier on about Cody Rhodes. Now, obviously, Dusty Rhodes' legacy is still very, very strong in WWE, particularly NXT, which he has a huge history of developing so many talent. One way that they respect and honor his legacy is the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and Cody Rhodes has revealed he would love to present the trophy for the tournament. Since 2015, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic has become a staple of the NXT brand, with many prominent duos winning the tournament, such as Samoa Joe and Finn Balor, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, MSK, the Creed Brothers, and Undisputed Era. Speaking with Alex McCarthy for Inside the Ropes, Cody Rhodes discussed the tournament and wanting to present the trophy to an NXT tag team that wins the tournament. He said, quote, "For all things Dusty Rhodes, the A&E biography that I was able to be the executive producer on, his story that is coming soon, hopefully before WrestleMania itself, to see the full story, not to mention the Dusty Rhodes Classic. One of the things that was obviously very appealing for me is that you're never not your father or your mother's son, and it is important to me. He cannot be there to protect and explain and defend his legacy." So that was obviously a huge thing. So that was always a huge thing that was on the table that is obviously very appealing to me, being here and coming back to WWE. So when it comes to the Dusty Rhodes Classic, I'd love to do anything involved. Obviously, it's more NXT. That's where we're developing, like I was saying, on Raw, Tomorrow's Superstars today. Singling out Pretty Deadly as a duo he would love to hand the hardware to, Rhodes said, quote, "You want to keep it in their wheelhouse, but I'd be more than happy to hand a potentially Pretty Deadly that trophy or a different team because so much is going on and that's so good down there. Shawn Michaels has done an incredible job and continues to do, but I love all things Dusty. I just want to make sure he's represented fairly because for a good time in the business he wasn't, and WWE has done a really great job of letting you know what he did, how he did it, and how it still affects what we do today. And of course it would be great to see Cody involved in that process. SummerSlam is heading to Detroit and back to Ford Field in the summer for, I think, the first time since WrestleMania 23, maybe? WWE has now announced the date and location for SummerSlam 2023 following the success of last month's Royal Rumble event. It has now been confirmed that SummerSlam will emanate from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan on August 5th. WWE shared a following press release on its corporate website. First WWE event at Ford Field since WrestleMania in 2007 and first SummerSlam to be held in Michigan in 30 years. Tickets on sale Friday, April 14, 2023. WWE announced yesterday that Ford Field in Detroit will host SummerSlam on Saturday, August 5th. SummerSlam marks the first WWE event to be held at Ford Field since WrestleMania in 2007. That was WrestleMania 23. And the first SummerSlam to take place in the state of Michigan since 1993. There were lots of comments from the likes of Triple H and others, but Ford Field is massive. Ford Field is huge, and the aesthetic of WrestleMania 23, in Ford Field was very iconic for me. I loved that WrestleMania. It had such fantastic matches. A great main event between John Cena and Shawn Michaels. I think to The Undertaker versus Batista. Of course, the Battle of the Billionaires took place there as well. A fantastic Money in the Bank match. And it was really iconic because it was 20 years after the Silverdome with Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, of course, in Detroit as well. So really looking forward to that and really excited to see what they do. WWE with their stadium shows as of late have been absolutely killing it. And I expect this to sell out near enough instantly, and WWE once again to do a tremendous job with the stadium show. Finally, there's been a lot of discussion, hasn't there, about this deal with NXT and reality of wrestling and NXT stars potentially being allowed to do indies, but not really. It's a one-off deal. Well, Booker T has addressed the announcement that Ivy Nile will soon compete for his independent promotion Reality of Wrestling. Following the announcement that the NXT star will be in action for ROW on February 11th, Brian Alvarez reported that NXT is going to allow talent to work select indies going forward. Shawn Michaels later denied this, saying it was wrong, stating on the post-Vengeance Day media call that the Ivy Nile deal was a one-off. Speaking on his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T, who also serves as commentator for NXT, thanked Shawn Michaels and WWE for allowing Nile to wrestle for ROW. Quote, "For me to work with the next generation and future talent at WWE as well in Ivy Nile, that's my passion. That's when I do my best work, working with young people and trying to guide them on this journey that I love so much. I'm still living my best life right now, totally content with where I am. For me, to see something like this come together, it's so awesome. I appreciate Shawn Michaels and WWE for giving me this opportunity to let one of my young talent in Reality of Wrestling shine. I hope to see her in WWE one day. Reality of Wrestling, we're not like a lot of independent companies. Our goal is to get these guys up to the next level, and that's to a point where they're making some money in their own pocket, they're getting a plane ticket and traveling around the world and seeing it all." Now, addressing the reports about the situation, Booker T said, "Immediately, we posted that Ivy Nile would be coming to Reality Wrestling, and we were going to give the independent wrestling world a match they can't see anywhere else. Immediately after we posted that, quotes popped up on the internet, Reality of Wrestling is partnering with WWE. If you get those from someone in WWE, fine. But if you see an advertisement of someone being at a show, you formulate your own thought and create your own story, that's when embellishment becomes something totally different. That's when embellishment becomes blatant lying. No one called me, no one got that from me. I want to put it on the record. I asked for a favor for an NXT talent, someone who is one of my favorites, Ivy Nile, to be able to come to Reality of Wrestling and get in the ring with someone who I think may have next level potential. I was granted that wish. I appreciate that." And you know what? I think Booker T, who says a lot of stuff, it's probably fair. You have to look at the facts and not embellish and just make stuff up. That's important. But there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you today. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster. Memberships are now active on the channel. So if you haven't already, all of the links are in the video description. It's also going to be the pinned comment in the comment section too. You can join the WN365 roster and you get plenty of perks. You get your badges, custom emojis, you get your exclusive members only content as well, priority chat too. The members only content is going to be coming soon. It includes the likes of classic match watch-alongs. It's going to include interview shows, possibly call-in shows, wrestling debates, Q&As, you name it, all of the above. So if you want that extra bit of content that people have been asking for recently, you can get involved. It's in the video description. It's also in the pinned comments, and it would be absolutely fantastic for you to join. But just so you know, none of these free videos, none of the news videos are going anywhere either as well. So there you go, guys. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.